Hello and welcome back to the AOR Formula C Championship on Project Cars 2. We are here for round 4 at Silverstone. Fantastic British track for some fantastic racing to carry on this season as we enter the second half, as we are approaching qualifying. My name is Kiki Mac. I am joined tonight by my co-commentator and Celtic Bromance teammate, JP McKinley. Hello.
Hello there. How is everybody?
I am good today. I'm looking forward to this. Silverstone, very good track, very classic Formula track. Should be some good racing here with the slipstream in big effect on these straights here down the Wellington and Hanger straights. So should be some good racing again.
Yeah, for sure. We can already see these cars are only on their out laps and they're already jostling for position. We've had Jörg actually had a slight moment coming around Corpse, but he managed to gather it together. But these cars on the cold tires, it's very, very slippy. But yeah, let's hope that hopefully they can make it around. As you can see, Carey in front of Jörg already having a bit of a moment, but Jörg going to go around the outside.
Yeah, Jörg wants that qualifying position, doesn't he? He wants to be ahead of the pack and not behind anyone. Doesn't have Strongest Avenger here tonight to challenge him, so it may be a runaway victory for Jörg. We'll see how it goes. Don't want to write anyone else off yet, but knowing his pace and knowing his previous results, it's very hard not to.
Yeah, well, that really depends on if he's done much practice, as we've seen that when he came to Monza 2 weeks ago, he said he didn't do much practice and it didn't really go well for him. As we see a spinner in the background, which is, I believe it was Martin, had a bit of a moment. But yeah, going back to Jörg, at Monza he didn't seem to have much luck. He had 2 terrible races. The first race he actually went down to 3 wheels and had to retire from the event. But yeah, I think practice is key when it comes to these races, and if you don't practice, then you are destined to fail.
Yep, definitely. But last week he obviously wasn't with us at Red Bull Ring, so we had 2 0-point rounds for that, which currently makes him 8th place in the championship. He is just shy of 100 points down from As Turbo at the moment, who's our current championship leader, but we'll see if the last 3 races of the season he can close that gap down and see where he gets to by the end of it. But having dropped 2 races and had a pretty terrible round 1 at Monza, we'll see how he does. But we'll see Carey now giving a bit of a tow to his teammates around the lap for WMDR Martin. Like I said before, the slipstream huge at Silverstone, especially in these cars, so I wonder if that's team orders there to come out together. And as Carey goes round and round he goes, coming out of club there.
That's definitely not ideal from Stefan Carey, but at least there was no contact with any other cars. But yeah, he seemed to be on a decent lap as well. He seemed to be holding it together, but that's really unfortunate. He literally had 1 corner left before he could post the time. But that time even still puts him up to P9. But yeah, you can see currently at the top of the list, good old Jörg sitting with a 2:02.1. But them times will improve. We're expecting at least a 2-minute time for pole. So there's 2 seconds to come yet from Jörg. But You got Ass Turbo in P2, and Big Wilk, who is currently third in the championship, sitting in P3.
Yeah, it's, for anyone that's thinking, oh, Yogurt just has a good setup, we are on default setups for this championship, so you get the choice of loose or stable, and that's your lot. You don't get any other changes. You don't get to pick your fuel, you don't get to pick your tyre pressures, you just have to pick loose or stable, and that's all you get the choice of. So any pace differences is purely down to driver ability in this case.
Yeah, and Oz Dunder just put in a lap of 205.5 to put him in P3, dropping Big Welt down to 4th now. And Jorguk's teammate, Crab, who's P5 currently, bound to improve, because that I know them two guys are definitely begging for some racing after having last week off for the holiday that they had.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Oz Dunder up there. He's had some, let's say, middling results. He had a 17th, a 10th, 9th and 14th, and a couple of DNFs. So it's good to see him back on form here at Silverstone, and currently sitting in P3 in qualifying.
Yeah. As you can see now, Ticklish coming around Cop's corner. Qualifying's gone so great for him so far, sitting in P6. His championship's definitely been a bit of a roller coaster so far for Ticklish, but it was definitely eventful at Red Bull Ring, where he ended up on his roof and then his engine exploded before he could get back to the pits. But
Yeah.
this is the joys of racing, I guess.
It was a sad sight to see when he was meters away from his pit box and his engine just exploded on him. So
yeah, I do believe he tried to coast it as far as he could to maybe then just try to get into the pit box, but it just wasn't enough, unfortunately. But yeah, there we go. Crab has just put a time up to put him between Yogurt and Ass Turbo. So we've got two big wheel racing guys, teammates 1 and 2. Out in track, Yogurt is actually behind Crab, looking for a tow. As he gets a huge moment off the curb there, and he ruined his lap and he's gone back to the pits. Yogurt's actually carried on to, as you can see, the drifting coming through Magnus Beckett's.
yes, just Yogurt's style of driving. Just loves to get the oversteer kicked in and then just have the correction in the wheel as he drives out the corner. It just seems to work for him, and he seems to have over a second on everyone else on the field. So he's doing something very right. So I think the issue is if you get it wrong doing what he's doing, you're in the barrier. It's game over if you get it wrong, the style of driving that Yogurt's pulling out in these cars. So it's risky, but he seems to have it absolutely nailed, and he just gains so much time to the rest of the field by doing it.
Yeah, he seems to just catch it at the perfect time. He's just like, the car is like constantly on the edge when he's driving, but he just seems to get a hold of it really well. And even that time does improve. He's got a 2:01 now, 0.9. Ass Turbo has gone quicker again and quickly returned back to the pits, but it's now Ass Turbo from down to Crab in P3, sorry, and then Oz Dunder holding 4th. As I've just said, that Big Wilk has jumped up to P4 as Yogurt has a spin right in front of us. Carey now coming across the line to jump up to P9 with a 2:06.5 with I do believe that Mr. Ferret. Yes, Mr. Ferret behind, sitting in P14.
Yeah, so going into this race, our current championship leader is Ass Turbo, who's got himself into P2 this qualifying. Second is Boris, who is currently down in P10. So a bit of work for Boris to do during the race if he stays there. And third, we have Big Wilk, who's currently sitting 4th in this qualifying session. So there's our top 3 contenders, a bit spread out across the field during this qualifying session.
And yeah, the Ticklish seems to love this track as he's just jumped up to P5.
Great qualifying by Ticklish. Hopefully he keeps him out of trouble this time. No engine explosions, so we'll see how it goes for him in the race if he can hold that together. I think that's been Ticklish's biggest downfall so far, is just getting involved in incidents which aren't necessarily his fault every time, and just not being able to make it through the race in the car in one piece. So hopefully, being further up the field, is more likely to keep it together this time.
Yeah, and he's just ever so slightly up on his personal best as well this lap. So he's, if he can hold it together, he will improve this lap as well. We'll have a look at the keyboard Blondie now coming through Max Beckett's. Let's see how sideways he likes to get it through here. Not very much so. He tries to keep it quite neat and tidy, but he's run wide there and lost a huge amount of time, and that will be a pretty wasted lap, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll see if they decide to let their teammate through behind them. It doesn't look like they are. They're going to carry on going on their lap. Actually, it looks like the teammates backed out of their lap, so Keyboard Blondie going to keep it together, try and improve on their current position, which is 10th place at the moment.
Yeah.
And which has actually knocked Boris down to 11th, so someone's jumped up and Boris is now down to 11th in qualifying, so quite far down for what we expected from Boris today.
And a bit of a surprise, but we've got WRC Animal sitting in 13th with a 2:08. WRC Animal had a great event at the Red Bull Ring, but had a bit of a contact with Big Wilk, I believe it was, at turn 3, and that pretty much put an end to his race, unfortunately. But he was leading the race for a good chunk of the time, so he is a fast guy. But I don't know, maybe just hasn't got a quality lap together yet. But he's only got 3 minutes left. He needs to put something on the board.
He does indeed. There's quite a heavy cloud here of the weather forecast for today. Just heavy cloud throughout all 3 races. Oh well, all 3 events: the qualifying, sprint race, and feature race. So no signs of rain today. Just a heavy cloud, which gives quite a cool track. Might be a bit slippy for those guys out there. You see WRC Animal getting a bit sideways there, which, given his name, he's probably used to getting a bit sideways.
Yeah, you can definitely see he's trying, but from the first sector you can tell that he was a second down on his personal best. So either he's really struggling with this current setup, or he's just being a bit too conservative and not bringing the best out of the car.
Yeah, it's got the last 2 minutes of qualifying now. These guys will be starting their last laps shortly. WRC Animal might be able to get an extra one in if he doesn't make any mistakes here during this one.
You might get a slight slipstream from I think that's Keyboard Blondie.
Yeah, they just pulled over for them, but looks like someone's actually going to dive down the inside during qualifying, which is pretty bad etiquette if they do. But WRC Animal is currently over a second up on his time, so hopefully he can keep it together this lap. But no, he seems to.
He's had a moment coming out of there.
Yeah, and I think that's either Boris or their teammate there. No, Keyboard Blondie or Deophile, I think that was actually that came through. So Animal's got one more lap to do it. We'll see how he gets on. Hopefully that wide there at the end didn't invalidate this next lap, which would be atrocious for him.
Yeah, this game does have a tendency to do that, and he's wide now anyway, so that's quality over for WRC Animal, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's going to put him down at least 14th, so a lot of work for him to do. He'll be looking to at least get it to the top 10 to get a good starting position for the feature race, which, for those who are new, the sprint race is a 10-lap standing start race. The feature race will be a 20-lap race, and the top 10 will be reverse grid from the results of the sprint race. So if you finish in 10th, you will end up being pole for the feature race. Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, I was just about to say the Crab was on a lap, but he did improve, but it wasn't enough to beat Ass Turbo to second place. But currently, Yogurt and Crab, P1 and P3 respectively, are sitting in the pits. And Ass Turbo's given up on that lap, so that's your top 3 unless Big Wilk can put the cat among the pigeons on his last flying lap as he comes down, as he just hasn't bothered and he is practicing in his pit lane.
Yeah, hopefully he won't be needing that today, because there is no need to pit in any of these races. The fuel tank's big enough and there's no weather changes, so he's bringing it into the pits. He's over with his qualifying. Oz Dunder now coming in for his final lap. Let's see what time he can put in at the end of Sector 1. 1/10 down on his time, but he's currently still in P6, so whatever happens this lap, I'm sure he's still going to be happy with his result qualifying, as long as nobody else jumps in at this closing stages.
Yeah, he could still get Ticklish. Ticklish is only 1/10 ahead of him. So if he could gain 2/10 over the rest of the lap, that could be enough to get in the top 5.
Yeah, we'll see how he gets on now as he enters. Can't remember the names of the corners. Poor Maggots and Beckett's. Copse Corner.
Copse Corner.
Copse Corner down towards Maggots and Beckett's now. I'm so used to the other track map where the start-finish line was. I was confused why I wasn't finishing his lap, but we are on the F1 version of the circuit with the start line on the international pit straight. And he is now a 10th up.
Ticklish will be sweating.
But while that's happened, Deofal's actually put himself into P5 with a 2:05 dead. So if he can gain 2/10 in this lap, Osdunder, that will get him P5. 1/10, get him P6. Anything else, he's going to stay in P7.
He's got 2 corners left to go, now only 1. As he gets a bit wild coming out of there, trying to get the power down as early as he can, comes across the line. Where's it going to put him?
And he jumped up to 6th with that, I believe. I think I saw it tweak straight up to 6th, so good qualifying there by Osdunder to get himself into 6th. So we have our pole sitter, no surprise, we have Yogurt, who has a good 1.4 second gap back to Asturbo in 2nd. Crab picking up the 3rd place, and Big Wilk closing out the 2nd row of the grid. 5th is Deofal next to Osdunder, with Ticklish with a good qualifying for Ticklish in 7th. He'll be happy with that one, I believe. Good start to the race today. Next to WMDR Martin, we'll have JJ and Stefan Carey taking up row 5.
And then on P11 we've got Boris. Yeah, and then Keyboard Blondie in P12. We got Mr. Ferret P13. Cameron B 14. We got Uni in 15th. And WRC Animal down in 16th. I'm very surprised at that. With the Voodoo picking up 17th place for the start of the sprint race.
Yeah, WRC Animal will be one to watch here, whether he just couldn't get a lap together in qualifying or whether he is just off the pace here at Silverstone. But we expect a lot more from him than the 16th place he's currently in at the start of this race.
Yeah, definitely, but not really surprised about the pole sitter. Jorgurk, an outstanding qualifying lap to put him P1, but definitely the battle is yet to be done, because who knows what's going to happen on the first lap. Jorgurk could have a slight mistake, drop down through the field. This isn't what we're hoping for, of course, but you never know.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how he gets on. He's on the outside of turn 1 here, so if Asturbo gets the run on him, it could make Abbey very interesting. I'm not used to seeing starts from here. I'm used to, obviously, like I said before, the other using the national pit straight, but see how they got on now into Abbey and Farm for turn 1 and 2, as we are red lights waiting to go. And we are off to the start of this sprint race, and it seems that someone's got a blinder on the inside there in the green and white car, but Yogurt has made that gap work, and Asturbo's under pressure there by Big Wilker, runs very wide onto the runoff. But other than that, I believe we're through cleanly, no incidents. Crab rejoins there. Ticklish started back in 7th, holding his position well. They go through the in-loop.
Yeah, seems everyone's through pretty cleanly. Jorgurk already has a 2nd on Asturbo, as Asturbo and Crab did have a bit of contact at the turn 1, but they all managed to get through pretty cleanly without much damage. But well,
JJ does seem to be down in 16th, and someone spins there. I think that was Crab. Was that Crab just spinning in the background there?
It was.
There we go. Yeah, it's just rejoining now, back in 11th place in the thick of it. So Crab with a very poor incident there, coming into Luffield, I believe that was. Brooklands and Luffield.
Yeah, it was Brooklands, yep.
putting him back in P11 now, so a lot of work for him to do. As W Hussey Animal is actually up to P12 already, so we'll see if Crab and Animal can work together here to make their way back to the front of the field. But yeah, rare instant there by Crab, but got it back together, and we'll see if he can push his way back up the field. But Yogurt with nearly a 2-second gap from the start already.
Yes, definitely Yogurt. As that was
That WRC Animal?
Animal
It was.
off in the background after all that great start at the first sector that he did, but he seemed to have lost it there coming into Maggots and Beckett's, and he's back down now to 15th.
That's not where he's going to want to be at all, and JJ missed what happened to him, but he's also down at the bottom of the field. Started in the top 10, I believe. You'd think he could have been 6th or 7th or so, but JJ been thrown out the back too as the penalties start coming in now. Yogurt is known to pick up a few penalties. He's got 2 seconds already, which puts As Turbo within 0.6 of him on track. So we'll see if that adds up towards the end for Yogurt and whether that actually costs him a position at any point. But so far, commanding lead of this race.
Yeah, currently the closest battle on track is for P4. You got WMD Martin, DR5, Ticklish and Carey, and Oz Dalton all battling right for P4. But WMDR Martin does have a 1-second time penalty, which he must have gained from maybe a bit of track limits. But there's still 8 laps to go. 9 if you count this one. It's a hell of a long race, and I'm pretty sure if he can keep his head down, keep the car clean, he can pull that 1-second gap. But with the slipstream again with this track, it's going to be a hell of a job.
It will be indeed, but Fowl won't be one to give up. He's currently sitting 11th in the championship as that's Ticklish is round, facing the wrong way, having to wait for all the traffic before he can get it going again. So after qualifying in 7th, which was a great qualifying for Ticklish, he's now back in 16th and just getting the car going now, back in 17th at the end of all that. So unfortunately we missed the incident, but it's a shame to see from Ticklish there. He's not had a very good race so far today.
Yeah, pure Ticklish never seems to have get the rub of any of the luck. But back to the action, unfortunately for him. But Crab has made his way back up to P8, putting pressure under Oz Dunder now. And definitely going to be right in his gearbox. Oz Dunder goes to hold the outside for the next corner. Crab just assume we'll just take the inside. Or can Oz Dunder hang around the outside? No. He pretty much gave up that position as he probably feels Crab is a bit faster. But next up the road for Crab is Stefan Carey.
But Crab has picked up a penalty there, so I'm not sure whether that was during his overtake, whether he had a too good of exit out of Maggots and Beckett's to get that run on him. But he has now got that second penalty as he chases down Stefan Carey.
Yeah, Oz Dunder doing his best to keep with him, but Crab is an extremely fast guy, as we could tell in qualifying with that P3 time. And he's already on the back bumper, well not even back bumper, but the gearbox of Stefan Carey as they head up the straight. Can Stefan Carey defend this? He's gone very defensive, making it very obvious that he will have to go around the outside.
But then pulls back to the outside even, so a bit of mixed signals there from Stefan Carey, but it's enough for him to hold the position through Luffield and through Brooklyn. So I assume that one move was the move back to the outside. So we'll go Stefan Carey that. That's allowed.
Yeah, I do believe you're allowed to weave on the straights as much as you want, but when it comes to the braking zone, you're only allowed to make one move, and that's no move. There's contact. Crab and Carey have made contact, but there doesn't seem to be that much of a casualty, and Carey is able to carry on.
No idea how Carey saved that then. That looked like it's going to go straight to the outside runoff of the corner, but Crab, yeah, a bit overzealous there into cops and
well, I do know that Stefan Carey has a cat, so maybe it's his cat driving tonight for to be able to catch that car. Because I know if I was driving, I wouldn't have been able to catch it. Absolutely fantastic stuff from Stefan Carey there.
Definitely stole his reactions from his cat as he. Down the hanger straight into Stowe now as Crab's got to make up all that gap again. Go to WMDR Martin now, sitting in 4th place. Bit of a second ahead to Big Wilk and a second behind to Deophile, so he's got himself a nice little pocket to drive in. Hopefully
Yeah, WMDR Martin did a fantastic job at the last race. An absolute masterclass when it comes to strategy. He definitely showed he had the pace to win the race outright as well. Didn't need the strategy call, but he went for it anyways, and it definitely worked out for him. So he's definitely a podium. He definitely has potential to be on the podium pretty much every race. He's just got to get there, and he's right on Big Wilk now. As Big Wilk didn't have the greatest of exits there, Martin will be in the slipstream.
you can tell that Martin now on the gamepad controller, just twiddling that steering input. So you can see the wheels are side to side as he comes out the corner, trying to optimize his steering input on his gamepad. But yeah, he's gained now to Big Wilk, half a second to Big Wilk while pulling over half a second from Deophile. So WMDR Martin is on the march for the podium as it stands, but he does have that penalty holding him back a bit. So if he does get past Big Wilk, he's going to have to make the move and pull the gap to keep that position on the podium.
Yeah, Big Wilk will be under serious pressure. As WMDR Martin's last lap was a full second a lap faster than Big Wilk's.
He's absolutely flying here. He just needs to find the place we can get the run out of the corner and get the slipstream to get the move done. See if he's got it out of Magnussen and Beckett's. Flying down now. Down the hanger straight down towards Stowe. Gap in fact increasing nearly back to a second there, so Martin not getting the exit he really needed. But still got over half the race left to go to make that move happen, so try and keep that up as we go to Oz Dunder now, who is currently chasing down Stefan Carey and looking to go to the outside, but Stefan Carey is not having any of it. Going to hold that inside line through the chicane.
Yes, Stefan Carey has a bit of a moment going off the track. Sorry to cut across you there, Kiki, but yeah, Stefan Carey had a bit of a swapper, and again his cat-like reactions just saved his ass. But instead of hitting the wall, he was able to gather it together on the tarmac on the runoff.
Yeah, loses the place there to Osdund, unfortunately, in about a second, but he's still a second and a half up from Crab, sitting in a nice P7 at the moment. But again, Crab also picking up that time penalty, so even if Crab manages to get around to Carey, he's going to have to pull that gap as well. So we'll see what happens at the end with these time penalties.
As we can see in the distance, Crab and Boris have started to come a bit closer together. Boris is putting the pressure on Crab after Crab's had an eventful race, shall we say, in the first 5 laps. A bit of a spin on lap 1, and then a bit of a bumper cars with Carey. Boris now is hunting him down.
Yeah, Boris is currently our second place in the championship. Sitting in P9 is not where he's going to want to be as he goes wide there. Very wide there. Some issue seems to be happening. That seems to be lag. That seems to be lag. A lot of lag. As we now catch back up with him heading towards Magus and Beckett. So hopefully that didn't cause any instance for Crab, but he is now battling with Crab. So
yeah, I do believe Crab's got a bit of a hurted car here, as Crab's last lap was a 2:11, whereas everybody else is doing 2:6s, 2:5s. So I do believe all the damage has affected Crab's car, and he is a bit wounded in this race so far.
Yeah, as we see Boris head towards the inside now, going into Stowe corner. And like you say, with the wounded car of Crab, Boris makes it look a bit easy.
Yeah. And now the battle for P3 is back on, as Martin has... No, the gap hasn't really closed. It's still about a second of a gap. But Martin's last lap was about 0.3 faster than Big Wilk's. But yeah.
There's still 4 laps left of this race to go, so it's a long time, especially on a circuit like Silverstone where it's over 2 minutes a lap. Got quite a lot of driving left to do to get that move done. Just keep it together and just hope that Big Wilk has a bit of an error to close that gap down within slipstream distance, and see how he gets on there, as he does close the gap there quite heavily through Luffield, but imagine that's going to open back up through the Constantino effect as they come out of the corner, which it does. But only to 7.5 tenths, so jump to WRC Animal, which is having a terrible race today, sitting in 14th place, no front wing, so he is a very wounded Animal.
Yeah, and I do believe Mr. Fair's got no front wing as well. Maybe there was a bit of a collision, but I do believe they were battling together on track, as we could tell in the timesheets. But it seems that Voodoo and Ticklish and now Cameron, who is right behind, have all made their way past. As Mr. Fair almost loses it on the grass.
Yeah, it looked like he thought about pitting and then decided against it. So.
Yeah, well, the thing though is that would have been the wrong pits as well, because that's the old pit lane for the Formula 1.
It is indeed. So maybe we do know that he was playing on ACC last night, which does use the national pit lane. So maybe that's why he thought about diving in there, and then remembered that we're on a different pit lane today. So I had to do another half a lap now to bring it back to the real pit lane as we go back to WMDR Martin. Still keeping that within a second to Big Wilk, not really closing that at any point of the track to put him under any pressure, as Martin is very wide there through keep getting these corners mixed up, and terrible when it comes to these pit straights on Project Cars 2 through Abbey. That was to go through the inner loop now and head down the Wellington Straights, which Big Wilk put a couple of tenths in him there through that mistake by Martin.
Yeah, he's dropped out. He's now 1.3 seconds behind. 1.4 now is at the end of the straight. So Martin made a mistake there in the loop, and it's cost him almost half a second. But it seems to be very strong when it comes to Brooklands and Loughley's corner, because he's right back into the 1 second gap.
Yes, you see Ferret is in the correct pit lane now. He has taken the correct pits, and he's getting that front wing repaired.
As well as WRC Animal, which is I'm very surprised that these guys having to pit, but especially Animal, because he's normally way up the grid and like fighting for podiums. I'm sure he'll be disappointed, but there's still a feature race. There's plenty of the race about yet.
Yeah, unfortunately he will be starting from the back of that feature race as well if he doesn't manage to bring it back to the top 10, which is very unlikely given that he's now going to be about a lap behind. So, going to be a struggle for him after qualifying poorly for this race and now having to start from the back of the feature race too. It's going to be a lot of work for him to do.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at Crab sitting here in P9, and his lap times are about 4 seconds a lap slower than everyone's. But can he hold off Ticklish? Because Ticklish is in P11. If he can hold off Keyboard Blondie and Ticklish, he will start and the top 10 will be in the front row for the feature race. But if he doesn't, then he will be starting P11.
Yeah, he's got 2 laps to hold for 14 seconds, which at this pace he'll be fine with. But if he drops any more, it's going to look a bit touch and go. Martin getting very wide there through Village.
Yeah, and he's dropped from out of a second again.
Yeah, seems to be strong in some sectors, but other sectors he just can't keep it together. This first sector especially seems to be where he's losing all the time. Then heads down the Wellington straight into Brooklands and Luffield, and he'll bring it back again after those corners.
Yeah, and we're going to be watching Boris and Stefan Carey here, as Stefan Carey's last lap was a 2:07, and it wasn't the best of laps, and that's invited Boris to have a go with 2 laps remaining.
Yeah, as you say, Boris, our second place stander, with a bit of lag issues, but currently second place in the standings. Looking to improve on that 8th position that he has so far. But Stefan Carey, sitting 4th in the standings, not going to make it too easy for him, I don't think. But hopefully this lag that Boris seems to be having won't cause too much of an issue for these drivers, cause any untoward incidents.
There is our crab. Yeah.
Crab is crabbing it off the track. But yeah, he's still doing the 210s, so it's going to be good enough for a top 10. As Keyboard Blondie does a 209 also. So Crab should be able to keep it in a good place to give himself a great starting position for this feature race.
As Stefan Carey has just got a time penalty. A 1 second time penalty, and that will, if Boris doesn't need to pass him now, he can just stay behind.
What I also noticed there,
gap.
oh yeah, what I also noticed was Crab is on a 6 second penalty, so that's a lot less work for Keyboard Blondie and Ticklish to do to get that position off him, but we'll see if we can do it in these closing few laps.
Yeah, for sure. As we look now, as Martin has been put under pressure by Deerfile.
And Martin is with that 1 second penalty, and Deerfile is within that 1 second window, so that penalty could knock him back a position.
Yeah, Martin's lost touch with Big Bulk in the dying laps of this race, and now Deerfile is all over him.
You think these tyres would last the whole race, but maybe Martin is struggling on them. Silverstone is known for chewing up tyres, given the fact that it's very flat everywhere, every corner, especially the fast corners through Magus and Beckett's. You are putting a whole load of stress on these tyres.
Yeah, and Ticklish has just got Keyboard Blondie into turn 3 Village, and has got P10. If it stays like this,
he has, but Ticklish also does have a time penalty, which I think is a recent pickup, possibly a 1 second time penalty, so he's going to have to pull that gap to be able to hold on to that 10th place. Otherwise it's going to be the difference between a pole position start in the next race or 11th place starts. So this is the battle for pole or 11th. What's it going to be?
Yeah, it seems that almost every second driver in this grid has a time penalty, so it's going to be quite difficult to work out the standings as we watch it, but we'll do our best.
Yeah, all Keyboard Blondie needs to do here is just keep it within a second of Ticklish. Doesn't even have to make a move, because sometimes you make a move, it doesn't work, and you can drop a second or so back and have to take a few laps to pull that gap back closer again. But if Keyboard Blondie plays it smart here, all he has to do is just stay in touch with Ticklish, and he'll claim that 10th position.
Well, he's definitely doing enough of that there. He's right on him. I just hope they don't have a slight moment and have a bit of a crash. But I think Keyboard Blondie realises this, and he's not making any serious moves on Ticklish.
He's not, but also I think Ticklish is actually pulling away as the gap extends to nearly a second as they come over the start-finish line to start their final lap. So Ticklish may be able to get away with this.
This will be a quali lap from Ticklish.
It will indeed. A similar battle we have going on though is WNDR Martin and Deerfile, where Martin is also ahead but with a penalty. But they are a lot closer in the field for P4.
Keyboard Blondie actually had a bit of a moment there, and Ticklish will. Yeah, he's definitely got way over half a second, or over a second by.
It seems to Constantina, doesn't it? Depending on where they are on the track, whether it's going to be a second over the start-finish line, we'll have to wait and see as they've got half a lap to go. Can Keyboard Blondie keep in touch? We go to Ticklish's point of view now. But Yogurt
comes across the line to win. We didn't get to see much of him during the race, and as always, he does his usual victory dance. Yogurt comes across the win. Turbo picking up a fantastic P2. He'll be happy with that there, seeing as he's leading the championship. Big Wilk now in P3 coming across the line. Doing enough to hold off WMDR Martin, who now holds off. Can he hold off for P4,
I
or
don't
will
think he is. I think he's
Darefeld
going to
grab him?
drop
I
for the
don't think that's
penalty.
enough. He does drop the P5.
Osdunder picking up a P6. He'll be happy with that, considering how the first half of the season's gone so far. It's his best result of the season, that P6 by Osdunder.
Yeah. And Boris picking up P7 with Carry 8th. That's Crab across the line. But who will grab the pole for the future race? Will it be Ticklish or will it be Keyboard Blondie?
Looking at that delta, it's going to have to be Ticklish with a nearly a 2-second gap by the end of that. So that over the course of that final lap, managed to pull a second away there from Keyboard Blondie. You see on the lap times an 07.2 compared to an 08.4. But Voodoo now coming around to pick up P12.
And Cameron P13. Yeah, that battle lasted pretty much the entire race. We didn't get to see much of it. But there's JJ across the line in 14th. And Uni in 15th.
The final running there for race 1, our sprint race. We have Yogurt taking the win there with a 3-second penalty, which didn't come into effect by the end, with As Turbo being 10 seconds behind in 2nd place. Big Wilk picking up 3rd, Deofal 4th, WMDR Martin in 5th, Osdunder in 6th, Boris in 7th, Stefan Carey picking up 8th, Crab in 9th, and Ticklish Picklewickle rounding out our top 10.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Ticklish will be quite happy with that. He'll be grabbing pole for the feature race. But in P11, Keyboard Blondie just missing out on pole for the feature race because he finished P11. Voodoo with a great result for him, one of the best of the season in P12. Cameron B in 13th, JJ in 14th, Uni in 15th, Mr. Ferret in 16th, and WRC Animal rounding out the field in P17.
Is definitely not where WRC Animal wanted to be, but sometimes racing doesn't go your way, and today was not Animal's day. So yeah, going into the feature race, we will see Ticklish on pole with Crab managing to start in 2nd. We'll see what he can do this time, as long as he doesn't spin it in going into the loop like he did this race. So be interesting to see what he can do off the front row. Stefan Carey and Boris in the 2nd row. So Boris again having pretty poor qualifying and just having a pretty mediocre result here for 7th place for him. We'll see what he can do from the 2nd row.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting race, but especially with the two big dogs, Yogurt and As Turbo again side by side. But they'll be in the middle of the pack as well, so they have to look out for each other to not get tangled up with the midfield runners. But definitely huge potential to have a great race. Great for the viewers as well.
Indeed it is, but we will be having a 5 to 10 minute break here now while we get things ready, while the drivers have a bit of a break as well before we get race 2 underway. So we'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back for race 2 of the AOR Formula C Championship here at Silverstone, round 4. As you can see, the drivers are just doing their formation lap now, with Ticklish taking up pole position after finishing 10th in that first race with a great battle with Keyboard Blondie to gain that position at the end there. So, after first race, there was a lot of pairs of people driving together, but not a huge amount of overtaking at this circuit, the slipstream not being as dominant as we expected.
Yeah, and I I do wonder that if the current midfield guys, sorry, like Ass Turbo, Yogurt, and Keyboard Blondie, will that make the racing more spicy for us to watch as they try to get to the front?
Yeah, I should hope so. It's been the case in the past as sometimes they may be faster drivers, but if they can't get that little edge they need to make the move stick, they could get stuck for a while and get impatient, and anything can happen from that point in terms of finishing position or incidents or anything else. So definitely be one to watch. Yogurt we've known to be able to just blitz his way through the field quite rapidly, but other drivers do struggle a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. The only a couple of turns left to go as everyone's starting to go 2 by 2 into the formation zone. But soon it will be green lights, and Ticklish will drop the hammer at his chosen moment of time to lead the grid off for the start of the race.
Yeah, from this point on, for those who are unaware, it's just like a normal rolling start procedure. Ticklish decides when to put the hammer down, and that signals the green light to the race. You can do it at any point over top of these the grid markings, and we'll go racing as soon as he decides.
And I do believe he's gone for it. That's pretty clean so far for everyone as they come through the field. Tech and Crab grabs it, carries it about wild on the exit of turn 1. And yes, I do believe Boris has dropped to 5.
Yogurt's already gained 2 positions with his start so far, 3 positions with his start so far, up to 7th, so no messing around for Yogurt. He wants to get to the lead and start pulling that gap so he can afford those time penalties that he's so keen to pick up.
But already the change for the lead as Ticklish has lost it coming out of the loop. He's dived up the inside of Crab, but can he hold it? Crab tries to hold it around the outside. His Crab is very loose on that setup. Ticklish slots back into P2, but now Carey is a P3, is right on the gearbox of Ticklish.
And Carey's got his rear gunner teammate there, WMDR Martin, sitting in 4th place, holding off Boris so far. So clean first lap it seemed. A couple of guys went wide in a few corners, but generally a clean opening lap.
And Carey takes a risk as they come around a fast right-hander, and Ticklish just had oh, there's been contact between Carey and Ticklish, and Martin has been involved in that as well to punt Ticklish around that he couldn't avoid. And again, Ticklish on the opening lap just does not have the luck of it. Contact between him and Carey, as Carey seems to be able to keep going, but
Yeah.
I do believe Uni was involved in that as well somewhere, but
I'm sure the stewards will look at that after the race, but Carey's managed to keep it going, but he does seem to be losing pace here to Yogurt, but who doesn't?
Yogurt already up to P2. Fantastic opening lap from the young man, who he said earlier on in the season that because he was missing those 2 races last week, and he had basically didn't do too great at Monza, that the championship was already out of his hands. But considering he has only got his teammate in front of him, surely this championship battle with him and Ass Turbo is right back up for grabs.
Yeah, so Keyboard Blondie must have been involved in some incident, having to pit now early on. Not what you want to be seeing in these sort of races, which although it's a feature race, it's still no pit stops here really needed unless the weather changes, so it's going to put Keyboard Blondie right down the field.
Yeah, and I do believe that contact that Martin had when Ticklish was spinning in front of him has hurted his car, because he's dropped down from P4 to P8 on the first racing lap. But we'll keep an eye on him as he sits currently in P8, but he is under extreme pressure from Dairfal, who is in return under extreme pressure from JJ.
He is indeed, as JJ tries to make some sort of move into Brooklands there, but nothing's sticking, so we'll see if we can get the exit now down the start finish straight, or the old start finish straight. But doesn't seem to have the run on him so far, so may have to bide his time. So we see them nearly looking to make it 3 wide there as Voodoo trying to make a move, but JJ seems to have got the better of both of them out of that corner as they head towards Magus and Beckett's.
It does look as if Martin's got a wounded car as he's dropped down to P10 now. He's let them two through, but unfortunately there's not much he can do as he has that damage from the earlier incident in lap 1.
But JJ there managed to get a 2-for-1 going into Magus and Beckett's. Great move by JJ to capitalise on the battle that was going on into not turn 1, the national split straight turn 1.
And as we cut to the lead, this is the battle for the lead between the two teammates as Crab goes defensive and has a bit of a lock-up. Now Jorger will get a better exit coming out of here as they drive for the line. Jorger is all over the gearbox of Crab. Crab stays on the racing line. Jorger goes to have a look up the inside, but decides better of it to go back into the slipstream of Crab. They come around turn 1. It's as you were. Heading now down towards the loop. As will Crab defend or will Jorger have a dive? They decide to stay as it is. Might be team orders to try and pull a gap to try and win the team championship. But surely Jorger wants to again try and win this.
And as a side note, it does seem that Martin's car was wounded, as you say. He's in the pit lane now, joining Keyboard Blondie with the pit stop. So it's unfortunate to see that an incident that involving his teammate has caused him to need to pit now. Bit of an indirect collision there, but yeah, Martin now having to take the pits. As Jorger's still not making a move yet, but he may get it done now as he gets the inside line, but not enough of a drive, it doesn't look like, as Crab has the better exit.
Yeah, Jorger's trying all different lines, trying to get around Crab, but Crab doing his best to hang on to this lead. He knows that he's fast enough to be up there, but can he keep the powerhouse that is Jorger behind for the next 16 laps? That's a huge ask.
It is a huge ask, but we did have Crab giving it some fighting words before the season, or I believe it maybe after race 1, that he was up for the challenge of Jorger. He wasn't bowing down from it, even though they're teammates. Crab did actually fancy his chances against him, and so far he's managed to hold him back for the first 4 laps.
Yeah, as Jorger was in the slipstream and now he's dived up the inside and he's got the move made as he gets to the apex first, and Jorger is your new race leader.
A great move there by Jorger, just using the slipstream to his advantage, but now will be the big test for Crab. Can Crab stay within fighting distance of Jorger and put any pressure on him?
And I'm not sure how Jorger managed to hold that, but somehow he did, and he's even with doing that huge slide, he's able to pull the gap to 9/10 to his teammate as they cross the line. And I do believe that Ticklish is in the pits, and he must have retired because he's currently 2 laps down. That's devastating for poor Ticklish. Or is he just...
No, it seems to be coming out of the pit lane now, it seems so. As Crab has a wobble there. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to keep hold of Jorger here now as he drops out of slipstream range. But Boris here, battling with Big Wilk with Astover behind him. This is your top 3 in the standings, battling for P4 on the track.
Yeah, these guys will not be given a quarter to each other because they know that if they do, they're going to lose big chunks of time.
Stephen Carey
is off on the grass. Carey's at a moment and he's off on the grass and he's dropped down to currently P6, but will Osdunder grab him?
Doesn't look like he will. That's loads of time there lost by Stephen Carey. He's having a pretty decent race, although he did have a collision with Ticklish, but he was holding it there in 3rd for a while, but he's now dropped behind this train of cars which are, let's face it, they're not going to give Carey much of a chance as Boris loses it on the curb.
Huge moment.
That was massive by Boris there. He's managed to get it back going again, but he's dropped his position to Osdunder there. As Osdunder goes across the curbing through Magus and Beckett's. But Boris did well then to at least keep it out of the wall and keep it going again. He's lost a bit of time, but he's still definitely within range before the end of this race. There's still 15 laps to go here. But Stefan Carey is right up behind As Turbo, and does he fancy it? Is this going to be his fight? Stefan Carey is indeed actually our 4th place in the championship, so he does have everything to play for in this role. The top 4 all together here, also joined by Osdunder, who is on pace with these guys for sure. His position in the championship doesn't show it, but he is definitely able to battle with these guys.
Yeah, Stefan Carey's last lap was a 2:11. That's definitely showing that the off has cost him a huge amount of time. But he's right there with As Turbo and Big Wilk. They've not got away from him just yet. And we all know that Carey loves a challenge, and he does not give up. He said Oliver Puna and Monza, and even had a great finish at the Red Bull Ring last week. So yeah, he's definitely up for doing well in this season.
The field sounds to settle now after a few people have had their wobbles all over the place to spread out a little bit, but again Carey, he's just, we lost it last time through Luffield going into Brooklands, but see if we can stay away from Osdunder now, who's again, he is, as the name suggests, from the other side of the world racing with us tonight, so it's expected to see a little bit of latency issues from his end.
Yeah, and as we can see at the timings, that Crab has got a 1 second time penalty, so that just makes his job to win this race even harder.
It does indeed, but looking down the order, WRC Animal has picked up a 10-second penalty and is way down the field. This has not been his night at all, to be honest. But we looked in here to try and redeem himself a little bit, but it's just not come together for him, unfortunately, as he sits in 15th place with a 10-second penalty. But Crab, not really managed to keep hold of Yogurt here as he's 2.5 seconds down, but Stefan Carey is holding that 5th position from Osdunder.
As he's another bit of a moment now. Osdunder, has he got the inside line? He's not there. He definitely takes a tighter line through there than what Carey did, but Carey hoping to have the better exit as they cross the line. But again, Carey having a bit of a wobble there.
Yeah, but Osdunder's making similar sort of issues with the car getting a bit wobbly under his seat there.
As you can tell, Boris is now caught back up as well. This battle will intensify for Carey as he makes it clear once again he does not want anyone going up his inside. He wants that inside line as Osdunder decides to take it at the last minute and makes a huge move on Carey. Carey was absolutely caught sleeping as Osdunder's lost it.
He couldn't hold it.
Boris.
Osdunder not managing to make that move stick as he loses it coming out of Luffield on the switchback to Brooklyn. So Stefan Carey holds on to that 5th place, but Osdunder manages to drop back behind Boris after making a huge dive on Stefan Carey. It seemed fine though, to be fair. It wasn't a dive in the respect that he is going to murder Carey on the inside, but not managing to make it stick there with that move.
And look how close they are as they come through Magus and Beckett's.
Yeah, such an important corner now to lead you on to the straights. It's not one you want to mess up coming out on as you go down the hanger straight towards Stowe. But Carey seems to have got it sorted. Osdunder following Boris down, not being able to get enough of a slipstream down there. No DRS in these cars, they're not Formula 1, they're just Formula C.
As Osdunder has a great line through there, and he's right on the gearbox here of Boris. But he decides better of it to stay and behind. to try and get the cut back on. Boris again runs slightly wide like what carried the last lap, and now Osdunder is right on the back gearbox of Boris coming to cross the line, and there's absolutely nothing between them. Will he make a move into turn 3 as he goes wide? Boris almost has a huge swapper.
Yeah, these guys are right on the limit. That corner is just it's a heart in your mouth moment when you come out the other end and you realise that you're drifting wide off the track and you try and bring it back before that curbing hits on the inside. But both drivers managed to keep their cars alive there as they go through.
There's a change for the lead. Sorry to cut across you, but Jogurk's made a mistake and Crab has grabbed the lead again. It's just happened right in front of us.
That must have been quite a big mistake then. That must have been a 3-4 second mistake there by Jogurk, because he was pulling away from Crab, so that makes things a little bit more interesting again as we approach near the middle of this race.
Jogurk's got it all to do again because he knows that Crab will not give this lead up very easily. Crab really needs this win because he's shown huge potential in the previous races, but it's just such bad luck where he would spin out or there would be slight contact with other cars. But yeah, Crab back in the lead. This is what he's been wanting all season.
Yeah, to see if maybe Jogurk flat spotted his tyres or something with that incident as well, which we didn't see what happened, so we have no idea whether there's any damage to Jogurk in any way, shape or form, but we'll see how that pans out for the rest of the race.
We'll do our best to keep the action coming thick and fast for everyone at home watching. But you can already tell that Jogurk has closed the gap to 1 second. he just does not know how to give up.
He has no plans on giving up. There's still a long way to go in this race, and that 1 second gap he can definitely got his eyes on closing that down. But Boris still sitting in the middle of this pack, middle of this train of Carry, Boris and Osdunder. The battle for P5 currently, as Carry trying to break the toe there on the straight. Going back onto the racing line for Stowe. Sorry, different straight again. I am so bad when it comes to Silverstone corners. I apologise to anyone at home who's a Silverstone diehard.
Carry almost brake checking Boris coming through there, and Osdunder taking advantage of it, and now he's right on the back gearbox of Boris. This is Stefan Carry again going extremely defensive.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to break the toe more than defend into that corner. Boris is unfortunately not getting the run out of that corner, but Osdunder's had a bit of a moment again, but has he kept it?
He has managed to keep it. But we'll have a look at the leaders again as they're side by side. As now Jogurk again grabs the lead back from his teammate. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, must have got that done into the old turn one, the Cops corner.
Yeah.
So Jogurk's again showing his prowess, getting that second gap down in under a lap. And getting the move done. You see his previous lap was a 2:11 compared to Crab's 2:06, so that's where the time was lost to lose the position in the first place, but he's already got it back within a lap.
Yeah, and he's pulled a gap of almost half a second already. The race isn't over, but we'll jump back to the action for P5. But actually, the As Turbo ahead of this group has put inroads in on P3, Big Wilk. And the gap is almost down to a second, so we will keep an eye on that there. But this is the battle we'll keep watching for now as Carry and Boris and Osdunder battle it out for P5.
Yeah, Carry doing a great job at the front of this train at the moment. He's trying to just break the toe on all the straights, which it's nothing much more you can do. Try and get the best exit you can and try and just get yourself out into the next corner before the next guy. But slipstream here, hugely powerful, so you got to do all you can to try and break that toe, weaving up and down the straights.
Yeah, it's all legal. You can weave as much as you want. You just can't move in the braking zone. As Carry has a bit of a moment coming out there, and that will hurt him down this straight. But can Boris benefit from that? As Carry again weaving down the straight, making it brutally honest that he does not want you behind.
Yeah, he's playing the Pied Piper there, just leading them all up and down that straight, side to side. But with this battle going on, has Deofal managed to gain any time? Haven't really seen him. Doesn't look like he's too far on the map. He's only a couple of seconds behind, but maybe if these guys get into a bit more of a fight, you can make it a four-way with Deofal waiting there a couple of seconds behind them all.
And even JJ and P9 could catch up as well. JJ isn't that far behind Deofal either.
Indeed, indeed. We'll see what happens.
And As Turbo has retired from the race. That's huge. He was sitting in P4, and As Turbo has retired from the race. I'm not sure what happened there, but now that's promoted Carry to P4, Boris to 5, and Oz Dunder to 6th.
Yeah, I can't see him in the pit lane, so maybe that was just a disconnect, because don't believe he's on the track at all at the moment, so he just seemed to disappear from the server, which is terrible news for our current championship leader, disconnecting out of this race halfway through.
Yeah, definitely blows the championship wide open now, as Boris and Big will be looking to benefit from this as they're 2 and 3 in the championship.
Indeed, indeed. We've got Oz Dunder now going on the outside. Boris having to go a bit defensive, but pulls it back onto the racing line. It looks so fast around that corner, the way they managed to cut it back onto the track because they run a little bit wide there, but Boris holding the position, keeping it in P5.
And just behind them you can see that JJ has caught up to Deofal in P7. There's just about a second behind us once again. The Pied Piper, as you said last lap, Stefan Carey weaves to lead them all astray, but Boris has a look, but isn't close enough to make the move. Stick on Carey, but he's definitely making Carey look on the mirrors, and that will be costing Carey time.
It will indeed, but we have our sources telling us that WMDR Martin is making his way back up the field after that early pit stop. Currently sitting in P11 and only a second behind Cameron B, so WMDR Martin looking to make the comeback of comebacks. You know what they say, can't make a comeback from first, so he's going to do it from back in 14th or 15th where he was after that pit stop.
Yeah, he's got back P11. Up to Cameron right now. There he is, currently sitting in P11 right behind Cameron, and the gap's closed down to 7/10 as he's wringing the neck of that there car as they head across the old start-finish line of the Silverstone circuit across the National Pit Street.
He's got that gap right down now, getting within 2/10, within a tenth going into Maggots and Beckett's. He's going to go around the outside into the first part of it and drifting wide for the second part, but he has made that move work.
Fantastic move, sensational stuff from Martin there.
Martin is really putting the hammer down after his pit stop. See how much further he can make up the field. That's Mr. Ferret is the next target, who currently 4 seconds down on his lap time to WMDR Martin, so I wonder if that was just a bad lap by Ferret or whether Martin has just got the pace over him. We'll see at the end of this lap whether that gap comes down any further. Currently looking at about 2 seconds as they head into the braking zone for the chicane.
We're going to have to cut back to the action of Oz Dunder and Boris, as Oz Dunder is right on Boris again, and JJ has caught up to this fight. As you can just see JJ right behind them. There he is, fighting with Deofal. It's 2-2 so far, and Carey has a slight lead now. But it's all down at this. It's Carey, just as I say that, he makes the mistake and drops the position to Boris, and can Oz Dunder get around the inside? Carey doing his best to keep the position, and he's lost it to Oz Dunder, but Oz Dunder will have the inside line for the next turn. Carey, and I'm sorry the commentator curse you there, but that's I think you need to let your cat back to driving again, because you're making a few mistakes this race and it's just doesn't seem to be working out for you. But Boris and Oz Dunder getting past Carey. That's P4, P5 for them guys, and that's all got work to do again for Carey.
Yes, indeed. He's on the tail now of Osdunder going through Magus and Beckett's. It's two incidents now that Carey has had through Luffield and Brooklands, where he's just lost the back end between the corners and sent it on the grass. But it looks like now he's got the outside line as that delta is staying around the 10th, slowly increasing. But
yeah, Osdunder had a slight moment coming out of Chapel, and that enabled Carey to have the better drive up the Hanger Street. But Carey, you're giving me a heart attack tonight.
we missed it on track, but WMDR Martin has got that position from Ferret, so he's got a whole load of clear track ahead of him. He needs to somehow, somewhere, find the best part of 24 seconds to get to JJ next on his mission, but I'm sure he'll be happy after having to make a pit stop to bring it back to P9. That's a great feat by Martin to bring it back into some more points.
Yeah, it's a fantastic recovery drive. It's just unfortunate. Just goes to show how fast this guy really is. When he picked up that damage as well, it was through no fault of his own. Sometimes you just can't avoid cars that are spinning in front of you. But as Osdunder now again trying to close down the gap to Carey. I wonder if he's got damage from the contact that he had with Ticklish on lap 1, because his car does seem to be quite loose in this race compared to others.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but he's if he has got damage, he's doing well to keep on pace with Boris and Osdunder around him. But we'll see now. Boris obviously being released from the front of this pack after spending the best part of this race stuck behind Osdunder, not being able to get a move done. See what happens now that the order's changed around.
Yeah, but look at this. Is with 7 laps remaining, the gap from P4 to P8 is about 4 to 5 seconds.
As we see a change of positions in the background, JJ has managed to make it around Derefile. I believe that was around the new turn 1, old turn 1 in Copse Corner. I'll never get used to that.
We'll have a look at the Derefile and JJ now. They're quite close together, but not going to make a move just yet. Just as I say that, JJ has gone quite wide there, and Derefile has got up the inside for the next turn and gets the position done before they even cross the line. Derefile gets the position back.
Does indeed. Small mistake there by JJ, costing that position again, so he's going to do it all over again, but as the Derefile get the inside line for the inner loop. But JJ having the run.
Back.
So, changing places every corner here, Derefile and JJ. Great battle going on between these guys.
I do believe that's Ticklish in the background there, just to show you how fast he is as well. He's able to keep up with these guys. It's such a shame that again this race was taken away from him.
It is indeed. Seems to be a running curse for our host and Project Cars 2 leader, Ticklish Picklewickle, the organiser of everything Project Cars 2 in the AOR universe.
Yeah, this wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for him. So hats off. This guy puts a lot of effort in, Ticklish.
Yeah, I wonder, can we see the penalties at the moment? Because JJ, while he's having a great battle, he does have a 1 second penalty to Derefile. Crab with a 2 seconds, but I don't think that's going to affect his second place position to Big Wilk, which is a good 5 second gap there. Towards the bottom of the field, we've got Keyboard Blondie, WRC Animal and Ticklish all with penalties, but again, not going to make a massive difference that far down the field.
Yeah, but you can see as well that if you just look at the lead that York has now over his teammate, it's almost 16 seconds, so it's fluctuating. But in the background you can see JJ and Derefile again swapping positions. But right now, we have got Carey right on the gearbox of Boris. This race is not over, Carey says.
Yeah, Carey's pushing this right to the end. He's, we said before, Boris did get released, but he's not managed to pull away from Carey. So we'll see if Carey can get the move done as we get towards the final quarter of this race with 5 laps remaining.
He's going to be in the slipstream now. Will Boris do to Carey what Carey was doing to him? Will he lead him astray? Will he weave on the straights? No, he's as straight as a die. Carey does take a slightly tighter line through that turn there, Brooklands, but he definitely gains time. Look how much closer he is now to Boris through that section.
Yeah, from GT Racing, you definitely want to just dive to the curbing in the braking zone there for Luffield. From Brooklyn, sorry, going into Brooklyn, just take that tight line and coast it round. But maybe different in Formula cars, but it seems to be working for Stefan Carey here as he's still trailing Boris by just 4/10 in it.
Yeah, he's making serious inroads on the gap. Boris, we all know how fast Boris is as well. He didn't have a great pre-season testing, but definitely this championship has come right towards him.
Just a question in chat, there's no mandatory pit stops in these races. Obviously, as weather changes, they will want to pit for a change of tyres possibly, but this is just a straight race from start to finish. It's heavy cloud throughout is the weather, so they won't be seeing pit stops here today.
Yeah, and now we can see that Boris is feeling the pressure. He's looking in the mirrors. He's realising that he's going to have to start defending, and he was weaving down the hanger straight, but Carey couldn't do much to get that much closer. But Carey is absolutely putting serious pressure on Boris now. Let's have a look at their current lap times, which is Boris was a 206.2 and Carey was actually a 206.5, which was slower that lap, but for some reason he's right on him now as they come into the braking zone for the loop. And Carey, I thought he wanted to make a move around the outside, but he just couldn't make it stick. And he tried to get a better drive out of the out of the loop now to head down the Wellington Street. But again, Boris decides a little ducking and diving, but not as aggressive as what Stefan was.
But we know Stefan's very good in this sector of the track when he doesn't have his wobbly moments, so we'll see if he can close that gap down through Luffield now. Doesn't look like he can quite get it as he has a wobble, but so does Boris, but that gap is increasing. But doesn't look like how he's going to get it done this lap. It's still all to play for though. Carey is just putting him under serious pressure lap after lap, keeping that gap within half a second at all times.
You can see even as they go into Corpse Corner, as Boris is going slightly wide on Corpse Corner, and can Carey carry it around the outside? No, he can't. He slips back in, but Boris, you can tell, that's how you know you're feeling pressure, is that the driver in front is making slightly mistakes, and Carey will be, his eyes will be gleaming when he sees that Boris is making such mistakes. And he's look how close they are now as they come up the hanger straight. Will Carey make the move to the inside? Boris is holding the outside line. Carey makes the move, knowing that he's going for the inside line. Can he get her stopped for the apex? He's in front. He's got the apex grabbed. And Boris has now dropped the P5. Carey's got the move made. Fantastic.
Yeah, great move by Carey there, but as we see as well, Boris has picked up a time penalty for going wide there at Copse Corner, so that's going to play hugely into this battle now. So if Carey does drop the position, he knows he can just stay behind Boris and still claim that P4 through time penalties. But an excellent move there by Carey, to be fair to him. Set him up through Magnussen Beckett's to get the run down the down hanger straight towards Stowe, and just grabbing that inside line, and a great move there.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see it. The when it comes to this track, for me, I always say you always have to set the move up about a half a lap before you actually make the move, and that's pretty much what Carey did. Fantastic.
Yeah, if it just started around left field corner coming out of it, just having the run on Boris, which forced Boris to brake late and run wide at Copse. So that was about half the lap before. By the time he got it done at Stowe corner, from turn 7 all the way to turn 15 of this track is what it took for Stephen Carey to set that up.
But look at how much of a gap that Big Wilk has made on Carey and Boris. Big Wilk sitting in P3, the gap has grown to 14 seconds just from them squabbling.
Yeah, Big Wilk will be alright with this, I think. He's basically the highest up the field of the top contenders at the moment. Not regarding Yogurt, who's currently sitting in P8, but obviously this race will, this weekday, will hugely improve his position in the championship. But Asturbo out of the race through, I presume, technical difficulties. Big Wilk, third in the championship, third in the race so far. Crab sitting in P2 is actually only 14th due to not starting last week at the race as well. So, Big Wilk, although third, it's a podium position, he'll be happy with it. He's going to be even more especially happy that he's ahead of all his rivals so far.
Yeah, lots of drama when it comes to the championship. There'll be lots of changes when it comes to the end of this race for the championship lead. Especially with Asturbo having this, the technical difficulties to lose, which was, well, pretty much third place, to be honest.
Yeah, it's happily cruising in third and suddenly just disappeared from the server, so it's really unfortunate for him to lose out on such a good finish due to technical difficulties, but sometimes that's racing. I like to think of it as if something technical with the car goes wrong in real life, so if the engine blows up for no reason, that's the same thing as a disconnect to me. As we see...
And that is Oz Dunder off and Brooklands. And that seems to be a very troublesome corner for a lot of drivers. We see Carey, Crab and now Oz Dunder going off there. Maybe the tyre life is starting to wear off now with only 2 laps remaining. Tyres are getting old, and the sun is getting low.
As you say, looking at P4, Carey is pulling that gap to Boris, which he'll be happy to see. But Oz Dunder sitting now between Deofal and JJ, which that gap has increased since they were battling a few laps ago, so JJ's also dropped off the pace somewhere.
And I do believe Crab's had a bit of a moment, and now Oz, as Big Wilk, has closed the gap to almost 5 seconds, and Carey is not that far behind either.
Yeah, looking at nearly a 3-second gap now even from Crab to Big Wilk for P2, but if we look at the penalties, what penalties did Crab have? I believe it was, yes, a 2-second penalty there for Crab, so Big Wilk looking to get within that window by the end of this race, which will move him a step up the podium.
Yeah, P2 is definitely there for Big Wilk, and he will see that time penalty for Crab, and he will be absolutely, he'll have the bit between his teeth trying to close the gap. I do believe Crab must have a wounded car as well, because he's absolutely leaking time to Big Wilk and Carey and Big Wilk and Boris, as for that matter as well, is starting to seriously close the gap to Crab now.
Yeah, it's only 2 laps remaining in this race, so we'll see what he can do, see if he can hold it together and claim that P2, but jump to Boris sitting in P5, following Carey around at the moment, keeping that gap within about a second now. It did drop off a little initially, but staying within a second of Stephen Carey here.
Yeah, Boris not giving up. He, even though he has that time penalty, he still feels that there could be incidents happening because of the gaps are closing ahead of him. So he's definitely wanting to keep the pressure on. Maybe Carey could make a mistake and fall behind, or
Yeah,
Slight crash could happen ahead. You never know.
yeah, all you
May
can
as
do
well.
is keep pushing, just get down and drive. That's all you can do when you have the time penalty against you. No longer in your hands to that degree. As Carey has also picked up a penalty. I did think he looked a bit wide around Cops there, so Carey has equalled the penalty, which is exactly what Boris would be looking for. So
Yeah.
this battle for P4, it will be settled on track as it stands.
Yeah. Jogurk is on this final lap, but as Carey comes across to start his final lap now with Boris right behind.
Yeah, he knows it's all to play for now. It's this is what he needs to do. He needs to hold this position now. He has that time penalty, which he'll be fuming with himself. He's in such a safe position, having that 1 second time advantage over Boris through the penalties. But now they're equal, he's going to have to fight this last lap as Boris is within half a second of him. Coming out of the inner loop now, down the Wellington straight towards Brooklands, where Carey has been known to lose it twice this race. A little bit. Hopefully he won't be doing it this time, as he's
Yeah.
got P4 on the line.
As you can tell, Carey again feeling the pressures. The Pied Piper, as you said earlier. What a great expression. And let's hope that the nickname sticks. He's managed to hold it. Will he get a good enough exit out of here? He does. But Boris seems to be slightly closer. As the gap actually starts growing.
He's got about half a lap to go for these guys to settle this.
We're gonna have to cut to Jogurk, who is absolutely flying up the road as he's only got 2 turns left. As it's been an absolute masterclass of driving tonight for Jogurk. He's got 2 wins. Will he do as usual and flip it across the line? Let's have a look. There it is. That's his victory dance.
Bodywork
Fantastic
everywhere.
Now Crab now coming across the line with P2. Even with the time penalty, I think he will be okay. Sorry, there's Crab, and that's Big Wilk there in P3.
No,
Sorry,
Big Wilk
Wilk.
does it.
Big Wilk's got it. And Carey is still in P4. Sorry,
Yeah, Carey's going to hold on to that P4, but the big shocker is Crab losing out to Big Wilk on the podium there. But great finish there by Carey, holding it together for that final lap.
Yeah, in Deerfall P6, Oz Dunder in P7, JJ crossing the line now in P8, WMDR Martin in P9. A bit of a recovery drive, but it's great to see that he can definitely put on the fast laps when it's needed. Because the team championship's still there, every point counts. And Mr. Faird in the P10, who's got a bit of a way to go, but currently at Stowe Corner. But yep, solid race from Mr. Faird. He'll be happy with that P10.
He will indeed. I believe that may be his best finish of the season. Let's just have a quick look at that. Yep, P10 it'll beat his 11th place at Red Bull Ring, so moving up in the world, Mr. Ferret. Good job there, good race.
And then Voodoo P11, and I do believe that behind him on track is Uni in P12. But yeah, fantastic race from Jogurk, locking out the double win. But huge upset with Crab. Not being able to hang on to it and dropping down to P3.
As we see our final results here now for race 2, Jogurk taking the win there. Big Wilk grabbing that second place due to time penalties of Crab, who has to settle for the third step of the podium. Stefan Carey doing an amazing job there, holding off Boris for the majority of that race, to be fair. Having to fight for it with the second penalty he picked up at the late stages. Boris taking that P5 with Deophile picking up P6. Ozdunder making a small mistake which dropped him a few positions down to P7. JJ taking P8, WMDR Martin again with that fantastic recovery drive, having to take the early pit stop, getting it back into P9, and Mr. Ferret rounding up our top 10.
Yeah, and then in P11 we got Mr. Voodoo, and P12 we had Uni, and Keyboard Blondie with a bit of a not the greatest of races, and he was a lap down as well. And WRC Animal and P14, and Ticklish Pickle and last but not least place. But yeah, Ticklish kind of had the race taken away from him with the contact with Carey as he came around Corpse Corner on the first lap. But yeah, if they go to the stewards, it'll be interesting to see what the stewards have to say about it. But yeah, that's the race, and yeah, it was fantastic to see.
It was indeed a great battle there in the middle of the field for that P4, P5 slot for that race. So we'll get in our dominant force, our double race winner Yogurt in for an interview here. Yogurt, race 1 was just a bit of a runaway. Race 2, we saw you had a bit of an incident which let Crab back through about the midpoint. What happened there?
There was no incident with Crab. I just spun on my own.
Right, we just saw after us while you were just behind him, so we wondered what happened there. But overall, happy with that race?
Well, yeah, overall I'm pretty happy, but it's a bit disappointing because I wanted the team to get that 1-2, but in the end Crab got barely beaten by Big Wilk, which kind of sucks. Yeah, there's not much to say on my side of the race. I just kept driving, zoned out, made a lot of mistakes. I don't know if you caught them on the stream, but I spun a couple of times, which was pretty unprofessional, but I mean, I can make up for it with the pace, so didn't really bother me too much. But yeah, in the end, it was a pretty okay race. Of course, I would have loved it if someone like Strongest Avenger would have joined us for today, but if unfortunately he didn't show up, so I just had to, do my usual stuff, just drive off basically.
Yeah, so how do you feel about the championship? Obviously, you missed out last week at Red Bull Ring with your holidays, so with As Turbo as well, disconnecting, I believe, from race 2, it seemed, our current championship leader. Do you still think you got a chance at the title here?
Yeah, it was pretty unusual to see S Turbo disconnect. He usually has a pretty okay connection, so yeah, that was unusual. But in terms of the championship, I really don't know. I guess we'll just see. My biggest bets are still on S Turbo or Big Wilk maybe, because yeah, the honestly the skipping one round is actually a pretty big deal, as I basically lost 100 points, and yeah, so getting him all back is going to be a bit of a challenge.
Indeed, but anyway, congratulations on your double victory tonight, and we'll see you next week for, I believe, we are heading to Brands Hatch, so we're staying in the UK for a bit of a tighty twisty track for in the UK. How are you feeling about Brands Hatch?
Never really liked it, to be honest, but I've never driven an open wheeler here, at least an open wheeler that's this fast. So who knows? I may have a brand new experience with Brands Hatch that I'm gonna enjoy. Yeah, we'll see.
Alrighty, congratulations, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, see ya.
Next up, we will grab in a Big Wilk, a double podium this week. We're picking up a third in race 1 and a second place by just a fraction by gaining that 2-second margin to Crab for the penalties to put him on the second step. How were those races for you?
Yeah, good fun. I don't think I overtook anyone legitimately on track all weekend. I think Crab fell off in race 1. Obviously penalty in race 2. There was some drama race 2 lap 1, but no, I'm super happy. I was 4th fastest and got a 3rd and a 2nd, so that's really good.
Yeah, it was awesome to see. You didn't really catch much on stream. We caught a little bit as we saw Crab drop off towards the end, and we noticed that gap happening. But great result for you this weekend, especially with As Turbo unfortunately dropping out. And Boris
Yeah, I
finishing a
think
bit
he
further down.
probably had me. As Turbo definitely he had the measure of me in race 2 until he just disappeared. So technical failure, I guess. But yeah, I saw Crab was 4 seconds ahead, and I thought, if I can get that to 2 seconds, then I beat him. So I just pushed and pushed, and he caught someone at the right at the end, which helped me out.
Yeah, great stuff to see there. I think with my quick maths, which may be very incorrect, you may be our championship leader after this weekend. So we'll obviously let the boffins do their maths correctly and see what happens there. But yeah,
Wow,
definitely
I
a
haven't
great
really
week
looked
for
at
you.
it, so that's a surprise.
Yeah, great weekend for you here tonight. So going
Awesome. Hey,
next week, Brands Hatch, the opposite end of the UK track spectrum, going from wide open Silverstone to tight twisty Brands. How are you feeling?
I don't have a lot of history with Brands Hatch. I think is that the one with the sweeping downhill first corner, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, if I was to guess, I'd say I'm not going to go well there, but we'll find out.
All right, so I'll catch you next week at Brands Hatch. Congrats on your
Thanks,
results
Scott.
tonight.
Cheers.
Next up, we will drag in. Let's go for WMDR Martin with 5th place in race 1, and after taking the early pit stop race 2, bringing it back to P9. That was a great recovery drive there.
Thanks. Got a little bit lonely towards the end though.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
seemed you had quite a gap to JJ, but we followed a bit of your drive through the field there to get back on the top 10 list. So with the incident at the start, incident in race 2, what happened from your point of view?
So basically, I have the really quick right-hander right before the Maggots and Beckett's complex, and my teammate and Ticklish came together on the exit, and it ended with Ticklish spinning right into my path. Slammed on the brakes, but I just couldn't avoid him, so I ended up with 14 front wing damage. Carried on for another lap because honestly the car felt okay, but I just had no straight line speed and I was missing half the corners. So
Yeah, so fortunate there you had to pit, but I'd say where are you sitting in the standings going into? So you're 5th going into this race, so you have a 5th and a 9th from this race, with Clank obviously not here tonight, being right behind you. Stefan Carey, you kind of switched positions through both races tonight, so you and Carey, obviously teammates in this championship, but definitely battling for positions in the championship.
yeah, it's extra disappointed with race 2 because like if you look at the fastest lap times and the people that I was battling with in race 1, I think I could have possibly held 3rd place for this one.
Yeah, but obviously you're going to get it all back together for Brands Hatch next week.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, the stable setup was pretty good on this track, but I'm expecting to have to go for loose for that one, and you never know where you're gonna get with loose.
Yeah, so one of those, like you say, Silverstone, nice wide open track, lots of runoff. Brands Hatch, completely the opposite. Tight, twisty track, not so much runoff, and there's usually a barrier there waiting for you.
Classic death trap.
Anyway, congrats on tonight on your finishes, and we'll see you next week. Let me find the next victim of the commentary box. We'll bring in Ticklish with 2 very unfortunate races there tonight. Doesn't seem to be going your way at all, this championship, does it?
No, that's a pretty good summation of my championship so far. Not really going the way that I wanted to.
So just talk us through the incidents that happened there. We saw obviously race 2, Stefan Carey and yourself collided. What's your point of view on that incident?
It was a bold move from Stefan. I just kind of only just right before I was about to turn into cops, I saw him in my mirror just closing in really, really fast. So I made some space for him on the inside, and I actually went a little bit over the outside curb as well, and then we collided. So I can only assume that he didn't really give me the space that I needed. Perhaps it was probably like obviously it was not on purpose, so it's probably just more understeer than he anticipated, but it thoroughly screwed up my suspension. So I had to cruise the last half a lap to the pits with like 60 kilometers per hour, I think was what I could go. Without the car getting all wobbly, and then I had a 2-minute pit stop. So that put me like, I think 2 laps down on like most of the field. So it was just kind of a cruise to the finish and picking up the few points that I could for the P15.
Yeah, that's all you could do in that situation. But race 1, I believe that you had an instant race 1 as well, but recovered to P10. Is that correct?
It's a little. I feel a little bit of like a broken record. It seems like every week I have a. I mean, I could have definitely had a better race 1 this week, but usually I have a pretty decent race 1, and then race 2 it all goes downhill. But yeah, I think it was lap 2. I want to say. I went too deep into Brooklands, and I ended up going so deep that I actually went to the outside like grass patch, and I broke on that grass patch, and the car just spun around. And then because we were so close, I just had to sit there and wait for the whole field to go through. So I rejoined in last. But then I was very lucky to make my way up to P10, which obviously put me on pole for the second race. So I would say I did what I could in race 1, and it wasn't that bad. But yeah, it's crazy that one spin can send you from P7. I think I was down to the last position on the grid, but that just goes to show how close some of this racing is.
Yeah, it's incredibly close. I think we saw from like P4 down to P9, there was only about 4 seconds in it. So any instant you have in anywhere in the field is going to be really detrimental to your race. But we saw you at the end of race 1 trying to pull that. You had a 1 or 2 second penalty, I believe, trying to pull that gap from P11 to get that pole position. But obviously, unfortunately, unable to convert that into anything with the collision with Stefan Carey race 2. But Brands Hatch next week, new race, new chance to hopefully improve on that race 2 performance with incident prone seems to be. Well, I'm not saying you're causing the incidents, it's more that you seem to be attracting the incidents, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I probably should stress that, like, I'm not saying that because like the overall kind of driving standards are very good in my opinion. But yeah, it just seems like the few incidents that we have in the first couple of laps, I'm kind of in the middle of those pretty much every week, which is unfortunate. So it can come across as not being as clean, but like in the broad view, it's pretty clean in my opinion. I'm just unlucky, so it is what it is. I can't really do much about it. It's sometimes racing just doesn't go your way, and it has ups and downs like everything else in life, and you just have to go through the downs to get to the ups.
Some wise words there from Ticklish Picklewickle. You can quote that and put it on a placard. So we'll see you next week at Brands Hatch.
You sure will.
Okay, next up we'll bring in Oz Dunder, who I'll let JP take this one.
Yeah, Osdunder, you had a pretty eventful race in the second race. You were battling pretty much with Carey the entire time. How did it go for you?
Yeah, no, it was going well. I was just tagging along, keeping in the slipstream. I started falling off towards the end of the race. You got tire wear and a bit of aero damage and all that. But other than that, I'm happy with the pace.
Yeah, like you're currently well, before tonight's event, you were 17th in the championship, but you were definitely keeping pace with as I said, like Boris and Stefan Carey and even Bigwell got a stage, and they're all 2, 3, and 4th in the championship. So you definitely have the pace of the some of the big hitters in the league. It's just you seem to have a couple of incidents earlier on the season, but how do you think you're going to go for Brands Hatch next week?
Well, I found it hard at the start of the season, considering this is my first season with AOR and sim racing. And I think this race I really wanted to show what I could give and keep up with all the top drivers. in Brands Hatch, we'll see how we go. I'm definitely gunning for top 10, maybe even top 5, but we'll see.
Yeah, we're only halfway through the season, but definitely with how close the field is, I wouldn't count out being top 3, to be honest, because it's a lottery who's going to win these races, and you never know that you might just pick the winning numbers. But yeah, fantastic to racing tonight, and it's great watching you battle it out with Boris and Carrie in the second race especially. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank
Cheers.
you very
Thank
much.
you.
Your time.
And last but definitely not least, we'll bring in Deophile, who had a 4th place in race 1 and a 6th place in race 2. JP, take it away.
So yeah, JR felt that in race 2 especially, you seem to have an extremely close battle with JJ, constantly back and forth. Any words?
Yep, just nice battles. So it was the beginning and was really close, and I was sometimes making a mistake or just having slight oversteer, and he was catching up. And then I saw he just hit a curb, and I could catch up. It was really fun and very respectful and fair. So I think we both enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely. Before tonight, you were 11th in the championship. Have you any aspirations come the season end?
I didn't look at the tables yet, so I don't know where I'm now, but I hope the 4th place helps a bit to increase my position. So yeah, I changed the setup actually, went from loose to stable, and this gave me much more confidence in the car, and especially in Silverstone. It seems to be important there because I basically couldn't get one single clean lap with a loose setup. So the key tonight was stable setup, that I just get consistency.
Yeah, it's better to be consistent than to be getting those track limit penalties, because they can definitely kill your race with adding on the time penalties, and you end up just because we've seen tonight a lot of drivers lost positions. Even like in the last race, Crab lost P2 because he had a 2-second penalty. But yeah, like if you can have a clean race, you can definitely gain positions. But yeah, so next week we've got Brands Hatch. Have you raced there often?
Will be a setup gambling again. It has some long corners, and I don't know if the stable setup works because you need to trail brake a lot into the turn to just get the car around with a stable one. And if the turn is too long, you just have a lot of understeer. So I will maybe go back to loose again to get some pace out of this.
Yes, fantastic stuff. Well, thanks for the your time and your interview, and definitely it was great watching you racing tonight. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you. See you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Alrighty, so that will wrap up round 4 of the AOR Formula C Championship here at Silverstone. Big congratulations to Yogurt for taking both races. Race 1, second was Asturbo, 3rd Big Wilk, and in race 2, Big Wilk picked up that 2nd place with Crab in 3rd. Amazing drive by our drivers here tonight, and we'll see you next week at Brands Hatch. Good night.
Good night.